In the Gospel of St. Matthew, in the 21st chapter, beginning at the first verse, we hear these words. When they had come near Jerusalem and had reached Bethphage at the Mount of Olives, Jesus sent 2 disciples, saying to them, "Go into the village ahead of you, and immediately you will find a donkey tied and a colt with her. Untie them and bring them to me. If anyone says anything to you, just say this, 'The Lord needs them,' and he will send them immediately." This took place to fulfill what had been spoken through the prophet, saying, "Tell the daughter of Zion, look, your king is coming to you, humble and mounted on a donkey and on a colt, the foal of a donkey." The disciples went and did as Jesus had directed them. They brought the donkey and the colt and put their cloaks on them, and Jesus sat on them. A very large crowd spread their cloaks on the road, and others cut branches from the trees and spread them on the road. The crowds that went ahead of Jesus and that followed were shouting, "Hosanna to the Son of David! Blessed is the one who comes in the name of the Lord! Hosanna in the highest heaven!" When Jesus entered Jerusalem, the whole city was in turmoil, asking, "Who is this?" The crowds were saying, "This is the prophet Jesus from Nazareth in Galilee." This is the gospel of our Lord. Thanks be to God.
Here is our King, here is our Lord, here is our God who comes to bring us back to Him. He is the one, He is Jesus. And He is our King, He is our Lord, He is our God who comes to bring us back to Him. He is the one. He is Jesus. He is our King. He is our King. He is our King. He is our King.
Can you all shout Hosanna? Hosanna! Hosanna! Right, here he is. Finally, our King has come. And isn't that what we're celebrating today, right? That's what we shout today, this Hosanna. If we consider ourselves part of that cheering crowd in Jerusalem, that's exactly what we're doing. We're shouting with them, Hosanna. We're shouting our praises, our adoration. It's our celebratory cry, right? But what do they mean? What are we cheering for? What are we looking for when it comes to praising this man who is our King? Are we looking for some kind of divine presence to turn our world into what we want it to be, as we want to be? Are we looking for someone to lead us where we want to go? I think the people in Jerusalem, that they were kind of looking for just that, right? They were imagining that this king that was entering the city would be the one that led them into victory. Well, the definition of victory might be different for the individuals in that crowd, but that's kind of the way it is with a self-centered view of the world around us, right? Our definition of victory is different. We want to win by our definition of winning. So we're looking for a king that will create the victory that's already in our head. We already perceive what we see as victory. We're looking for this guy to make it happen. We've had enough of the oppression and struggles in our little corner of the world, and now we're looking for someone to defeat the enemy that we think we know. And today that king, that defeating king, comes into our world riding on a donkey. Now that might not be how we had imagined that our king would come riding into town, but that's okay, right? Maybe it's his idea of sarcasm or irony, or maybe it's just a joke he's perpetrating on our enemies, right? Maybe this guy on a donkey is our king in stealth mode, right? Maybe he is going to lull the people into a false sense of security, and then he's going to pounce. Right? We're going to shout his praises so that the opposition will know that this guy is going to conquer our enemies and put us in a position of control and power. It's about time. It is time for us to start winning. And we can't wait to see what he's going to do next. Will he get right down to the business of getting rid of the power structure that's in place? Will he put together an army to defeat the enemy, gather up a great army? Will he stage a coup to set up a government that is ruled by people that we deem as the right people? That's what we expect, is it not? It's our king. So we cheer him on, and we wave palm branches in the air, and we spread our cloaks at his feet. We will make sure that we play the part we're expected to play so that we don't have any way that he can show that we're not supportive or that we're weak, right? We are right there with him. We're in it to win it. And how sweet it is. He starts by clearing out the crooks from the temple. Yes. That's just what we expect him to do. No worries, no problem. We are on our way. Wait, what? He's healing the sick and curing the disease, picking up beggars out of the street, lifting the lowly. What is this? That can't be right. We wanted a king that was going to embrace power and keep people in their position. We wanted a king that was going to make sure that the right people, his people, us, were the ones that enjoyed the spoils of victory. This cannot be what we're looking for. How can it be? So what are we going to do now? Oh, wait, maybe it's a temporary hiccup. He'll straighten it out. It's going to be okay. Interesting little dissertation. I wonder sometimes how much of what you've heard is true. How many times do we feel like that? How many times do we find ourselves wondering with the crowd how we got from Hosanna, here's our conquering king coming in to make everything all right, all the way over to crucify him? That's the struggle of Holy Week. The call of this journey is to try to look deep into our hearts and see if they're open to the reality of who Jesus is. Or are we trying to fit Jesus into some sort of box or vision that we create to satisfy our wants? A box or vision that we need him to exist in or perform in to live up to our expectations. This week calls us to look at that and see where we are individually. And there's more to come for sure. So as you worship today, as we gather to worship today, may your hearts be open to this humble King who comes into our lives not to empower the powerful, but to lift up the lowly. May your hearts be open to this humble King who comes into our lives not to fulfill our vision of who he is, but to gather us into the vision of who he really is and why he really showed up. This week is about love, a love so strong that this king, riding in on a donkey, is willing to die for each and every one of us individually.